for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sean Hurwitz, guitarist for Smash Mouth currently, then Enrique Iglesias, performed with a bunch of different artists. And I am in Los Angeles right now, doing an Instagram live with my boy Nik Hughes, which is a drummer, amazing drummer, plays for Bush and Youngblood Hawke, and I've had the pleasure of playing with him a few years, I think, in the past. We'll get to that in a second, but first, Nik, give us kind of a little intro about yourself so people know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sean. It's good to talk to you again. It's been too long since we've played together, for sure. That's number one.
Yeah.
But we had some good times for sure when we did. Yeah, so I am originally from the Washington, D.C. area, Virginia specifically, just outside of the city. And I moved to Los Angeles in 2006, and I've played drums kind of my whole life. So going to LA was a pretty easy choice after my band from college broke up. And yeah, so and kind of there, it's been a crazy world of adventures. That's a lot of stories that we can get into later, but
Yeah.
played for a bunch of different artists and, just tried to live as much of my life close to music as I possibly can. So it's just all things drums and music, even more than just drums, all things music. So I've dabbled a little bit in the music business industry as well. But the last year and a half or so, May of 2019, I started touring with the band Bush. So that's kind of been my main occupation lately. And it's been a super blast. Dudes are awesome. The music is great, and just getting to hit drums that hard again compared to my other previous gigs I love as well, but some of them haven't allowed me to try to break stuff every night, which is a way that I like to play drums. So yeah, so that's it. And then I'm currently in North Carolina, just kind of quarantining with family, just to be close to fam for the holidays. So we're kind of here for who knows, at least a few months, but we'll see. But yeah.
Damn, man. Damn. Now you have how many kids? 2 or 3 by now?
I have 2. Yeah.
2. Okay. Good.
Just 2.
So I want to take you made a note. You said that, well, 2 for now. I mean, you're quarantining for a few months. Who knows?
I don't know.
So when I played with Nik, we played for an artist called Chrissy Moses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the first time I actually saw you play, I don't know if you remember this or if you know this, but I saw you play when I was doing sound down in a little pub or club bar down in Hermosa. Where was that? Hermosa Beach or?
Hermosa Beach. Yeah, it was the shore.
Hermosa
I
Beach.
Totally remember it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, fuck. It was one of those things where I saw you and I was just like, wow, this guy has something. I gotta play with this guy. And sure enough, we ended up playing together. I don't even know how that happened, man.
Yeah.
But how did you get the Chrissy Moses gig actually?
I got that pretty quickly after I moved to LA. It was just literally a Craigslist ad.
Wow.
And she was super sweet. And then we kind of put the band together a little bit. And I didn't even really know what musical directing was at that point, but she kind of needed a little bit of help with it. And the guitarist got on another tour, and we had met at the shore, and I was like, dude, you got to call Sean, and you were great and perfect like you are for so many gigs.
Appreciate
and
it.
It was a blast. We didn't tour the world necessarily, but she was super cool, and we played some shows in LA, and it was awesome. Yeah.
And that's where I really found out that although I saw you have a blast at that at the shore playing with Chrissy, with you every week or so, I mean, I saw what an animated drummer you are. So when you say that you get to break stuff every night with Bush, I totally get it, because you're one of the more animated drummers I've ever played with. Like you're in it, dude, like seriously in it. And it's inspiring to be around that energy.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah. I mean, I just love playing drums. So if I can convey one thing, it's not going to be about a certain fill or something. But if people walk away being like, hey, that dude really looks like he's having a good time, that's my main goal every night. So while serving the music as well, of course. But,
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So do you know Phil X, the guitarist for Bon Jovi and whatnot?
course.
Phil was the first one. I went to see his band Powder back in the day. There was a
Hmm.
certain gig that I saw where the opening band was running around and playing and just having a great time, but they were just kind of running from this side of the stage to that side of the stage, not really paying attention to the crowd. And then Powder got up, and right away you could see the difference. As a musician and as a hey everyone, hi guys, as a musician and as a person that wants to be on those kinds of stages, I noticed a difference right away. Phil, Nanette, all the people in the band were just like, "You're the crowd. We're here to rock your faces." Yeah, So,
Yeah.
and it was like, wow, what a difference in the energy, because instead of just running around and not paying attention to the crowd, here you are paying full attention to the crowd. And that's where I picked it up from, is like, just be energetic, give them a show, smile, enjoy yourself. And you're the epitome of that stuff, man. I mean, you do all that.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, it's a little easier for me. I'm tucked back in the back. I can be kind of a little bit more introspective in my party. But yeah, that's the name of the game. Obviously, without all these amazing people that come to the shows, they're there to be entertained. They like the music first and foremost, but they could listen to it at home. So, we have to reward their loyalty and the fact that they went through so much to come to shows. How many people drive or fly so far to just come see us play, and we got to bring it every single night. So
And you know what? I mean, you're talking right now, there's some Enrique fans, mostly Enrique fans, I want to say, more than Smash Mouth fans follow me on here. And the Enrique fans they are hardcore, man. I mean, they will stand, ladies and men, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, I've heard of people standing for 12, 13 hours in the rain, in Europe, just in the cold, just to try and get that front row. It's front row spot, and I mean, you got to give it to them. I don't think I would do that. Have you done that ever?
I mean, when I was a kid, it was just like Warped Tour every year, Ozfest, stuff like that, and I would get into the pit. I don't know. I don't, probably not. I'm definitely too spoiled now, like watching too many shows side stage or whatever. Uh,
Yeah.
but I mean, yeah, I don't know. I was always a little bit more fascinated going to like the little clubs and like sneaking into the 930 Club in DC and stuff, and just like before I was, or well, I mean, they have all ages shows, but you know what I mean? Just kind of like going to see those DIY punk upcoming acts. I didn't see as many big arena shows and stuff like that when I was younger. It was mainly just clubs and stuff like that. But yeah,
Have
I
you
mean,
played
and
the? No, go
sorry.
ahead.
I have played the 930 Club, and it's still one of my favorite venues. It's unbelievable. I'm probably biased by just saying that because I'm from there, but and I went to
No, it's
it,
a great club.
but yeah. And that same thing that you were saying with Enrique Iglesias' fans is Bush fans have been so gracious to me. I see a bunch of you guys on there, so what's up? Thanks for joining. And yeah, all of them that I meet, they're like, dude, we've been coming every year for the past however many years. We always come to this show, but we live 7 hours away or whatever. And it's it's a blessing, and it's something cool to be a part of. It's one of my favorite things about music, other than being on stage, is just meeting other people from all around and hearing their stories, and just, taking that knowledge back with me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Real quick, I'll just answer a question that someone asked, and then I want to know more about Bush. Someone asked, "Can you please save this live?" I will save it. I'm also going to put it on YouTube if Nick is cool with that, and then you can also ask a bunch of questions there and stuff. But real quick, for the Bush fans that don't know, and for me and for the Enrique fans that don't know, how did you get the Bush gig, man? I mean, congratulate. It's been probably almost a year now.
Yeah,
Uh,
almost, yeah, a year and a half or so.
a year and a
May of
half. Wow.
2019. Although we didn't really get to do this year the way that we were going to be. Hopefully, we were going to have a big year. Hopefully, uh,
None of us did.
yeah, I know. But yeah, so interesting enough, my daughter will be 5 next month, and after I had her, I was touring with an artist named Bishop Briggs, and I was on tour for about a year and a half, and it was amazing experience, but it was a lot kind of being gone. So I actually took an A&R job and was working at a publishing company and also managing some artists and doing that sort of thing. And I was going to UCLA taking the music business courses there, and I was still playing locally, but I was really just trying to make a concerted effort to like, maybe I'm going to phase out my touring thing. And
Family man.
well, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's family is super important, and it puts a lot of stress being on tour. My wife is amazing. My kids are awesome. The family support system is great, so that it kind of allows that to happen. But yeah. So anyway, so that company was launching a label that I was brought in to help build, and that ended up not fully coming to fruition. The company ended up being sold, and they didn't end up launching that label, at least not the way we were hoping to. So that part of the company just kind of was let go. That company is great and everybody there was amazing, but I was coming out of that just trying to figure out what I was going to do. And my buddy Corey Britz, who plays bass for Bush, called me and said, "Hey, we're holding some auditions next week. Do you want to audition?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, of course." That was perfect timing. And so I just shedded the tunes like super hard, harder than I've ever worked for an audition ever, just because, I mean, I really needed it because I wasn't sure what my next job was going to be. I wasn't like anticipating going back out on tour, but when Bush calls, it's like, that's a whole different subject. It's like one of my favorite bands, and Corey is one of my good buddies. So being able to tour with him. And so yeah, so I auditioned and was lucky enough that, it seemed to have worked out. So.
Dude, I thought you just knew Corey and you were just in because, yeah, I didn't even know you auditioned, but it doesn't surprise me that you auditioned and got the gig. Like I said, very animated, very good.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'll take this. Let me pivot for a second. Someone had asked, let me see here real quick. Someone had asked, have you always wanted to play rock? Mary asked that. And on that note, I wanted to ask you, do you like playing other genres and stuff, or because I know you as a rock drummer, dude. But yeah.
Well, what's funny about that is that Chrissy was pretty rock, and Youngblood is kind of indie rock. Probably
Yeah.
most of the Bush fans that see me post about Youngblood would not consider us rock, which is fine. I wouldn't really either. But
dude, if it's got distorted guitars, it's some form of rock, in my opinion, as a guitarist.
Sure, but yeah, Youngblood doesn't really have a whole lot of distorted guitars. But yeah, I mean, so Bush is definitely the most rock gig I've had. I played in punk rock bands and a few hardcore bands in DC before I moved to LA. And Bush feels like kind of what I really thought I was going to have happen when I moved to LA. But no, I've done everything. I have a college degree, music performance degree in jazz and orchestral percussion.
Wow.
I've studied in Cuba and have done a lot of Afro-Cuban percussion. I've been to Cuba 3 times to study there with, the first time was kind of with a program. The second 2 times just with a mentor that I have down there who's an amazing percussionist. And
Wow.
and then when I moved to LA, it was just whatever I could get to work and just to try to keep this thing going. So I've played for, a few Disney artists. I've played some pop stuff. I've played indie rock stuff. I've played, in some salsa bands on Afro-Cuban on percussion. And then the Bishop Briggs gig, for example, right before my last gig before Bush,
Very electronic.
was all electronic. Yeah, I gradually, as the years went, I added a few acoustic pieces, but it was completely all electronic. I was playing trap kind of beats and stuff like that. So no, I love doing all of that. I just love the challenge of it. And for me, that's what I think makes Bush so fun, is having come off of this electronic gig where like the first 6 months of the Bishop gig was like, I would just break something and then I'd call Roland and I'd be like, okay, I'm learning to not hit that hard on that gig as it's happening, but I'm also like, I think I need some more sturdy equipment. And they were amazing. Roland's definitely makes the best equipment you can get. If it can withstand me smashing this pad over and over again. And my foot pedal was the hardest thing for that. But yeah, so I grew up playing a lot of stuff. I grew up loving Bush. So it feels like home to me. And it's crazy that it's like the most rock gig I've had after, 18, 20 years of playing music professionally. So it's it really does feel like home, which is awesome.
So it's cool. You went full circle, and I'm sure not done yet, but it's nice. It's nice to hear that you've done all that stuff. I had no idea, because I just know you as such a, again, I'll say it, animated rock drummer. And I've seen you perform with Briggs. What's her name?
Bishop Briggs. Yeah.
Bishop Briggs. I've seen you perform there. It was insane. I mean, you are hitting that stuff hard. Full energy, and it's electronic, but you were killing it. I'll remind. We've got a few questions. I've got a few questions here, so let's pay attention to the people. Let's see, guys. If you want to ask any questions, just hit the little question mark on the bottom, and it pops up for me. So let's see real quick. Oh, interesting. So this is a Bush fan, I assume. She's asking, Lady Jugs O'Plenty, beautiful name, love it. Who is your musical hero? Maybe Neil Peart?
I have a lot of love for Neil Peart, and he's done so much for drumming as an ambassador. In addition to obviously the parts are iconic. For me, I respect him, but it wasn't like my hero was Dave Grohl for sure. Like as a kid, it was Stuart Copeland and John Bonham. But like when Nirvana came, it was just Dave. I was just obsessed with Dave Grohl, and then Jimmy Chamberlain from the Pumpkins as well. Like those two drummers just fully changed, and actually Trey Cool as well. Like when I first heard Dookie, to be honest, like being from Virginia, Dave Matthews was huge. So and I liked playing rock, but I was also trying to figure out what Carter Beauford was doing, and I was like, I don't understand it. And so I'm like in my practice room. And then Dookie came out, and I was like, shit, I can play like this? That's amazing. And then so it was like that kind of like got me back into Nirvana again, and just all the kind of 90s stuff that I had already been obsessed with. And then that was like a shift from that album. It was like then my band, which was very ska at the time, started to go in a different direction and became more rock and more punk and stuff like that, and other projects that I was playing on. So,
Dude, that's cool. I don't know if you know this. I see Nikki said Dave Grohl. I mean, people that know me for the most part know that I am dying to play with Foo Fighters. I mean, I'm just,
you and me both. Dude. And so many of us, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're such a fun band, and when I've met them on different occasions, they seem to be really cool. You never know who a person completely is from one time you meet them, but they just seem to be really cool. And I'm sure there's drama. There's always drama. Yeah. But it just seems like such a cool, fun band to play with. So I'm right there with you. Let's see what else we got. Oh, yeah.
Oh, so I was just going to say, and what I love about Dave Grohl's parts is it's like little choruses. The drum fills are these choruses that non-drummers could sing back. And it's just, I just love that. And some of them are technical, but they don't sound, you're not like blown away by the technique. You're kind of just blown away by the impact that it has and the emotional character of the drumming. And that's just what I love about it so much. And that's like, from the Queens of the Stone Age stuff that he's done to Them Crooked Vultures, like everything that he's done, he kind of just carries that. And I just love it.
Yeah. Queens of the Stone Age, man, that guy, I mean, he killed it.
That album was like, I literally was just like, I feel like my mouth was opening listening to that. I remember where I was listening the first time. And then, it's just been a lifetime of trying to absorb it and integrate that into what I want to do.
I feel like Queens of the Stone Age and what's the other band? The Armenian guys. Wake Up. Make Up.
Oh, System of a Down.
System of a Down. They both such interesting bands, such interesting music, such interesting approaches to the instruments and the songwriting.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. We've got some more
Just
questions. Yeah, were you going to say?
oh, they're just so original, and that's what makes them great. You know, it's not the same thing you've heard, regardless of genre. They're just the originality is amazing.
Yeah. So we have another question by Mary. What's the most complicated thing in learning drums? Like, what's the most complicated thing for you?
Um, that's a good question. I mean, I think it's it's kind of easy to get started. You know, you have some patterns, you learn some coordinations, and then kind of how you take it from there. I think the complicated part for some is that the and Sean, you know this too. Every instrument, it's like there's mundane things or that are, you know, seemingly mundane things that you can just practice. Like I could just play boom, gat, boom, gat, and there's so many different things that I could think about working on that. Like coordination wise, I've done that since I was 5, so that part's not a big deal. But it sounds totally different now, having played for 20 years, than it did when I was that age. Um,
I should hope
and
so.
yeah, yeah. But and so I think it's just kind of coming to terms with that you know just the idea that you would just have to do it over and over again. Um, and then just kind of finding the joy in that, finding new ways to play it. I'll give an example, and it circulates to a mutual friend of ours. But when I moved to Los Angeles, it was really about 2 years of auditioning to where I was kind of consistently getting callbacks and getting a few gigs here or there. Nobody gets every audition, but and during that time, I took a few lessons with our great friend and amazing drummer Randy Cook. And at this time, I played all my life. I went to school for music. I have a music degree. You know, like I don't. I like to try to appear humble, but I thought I was pretty good. And I took a lesson with Randy, and he's such an amazing drummer. He's such an amazing person. And this wasn't mean. Like he made me feel great about myself, but while making me realize that I wasn't analyzing my playing nearly enough. And it was just kind of like, oh, that. And it was like this lick, and I did this cool fancy lick or whatever. And he's like, yeah, but it wasn't, let's record that. It wasn't necessarily as clean as maybe you think it is. And just kind of that
Oh,
analyzation. And then same thing with like, whether my kick and snare, if they're hitting at the same time, it's not flamming, or some of the hi-hat work, making sure that's not flamming. And I really credit him. I didn't take a ton of lessons. He was gracious to give me like 3 or 4 lessons. Um, but there was like years packed in there to where I'm still working on some of those concepts. But um, it really helped take my playing to the next level. And I credit that because I was preparing for auditions, but not to the level of with that sort of intensity to what I was doing. And so I think, that's probably the most complicated thing is like, I can do this. I can sit down and put on a rock song and play along, but am I actually like really focused and engaged in making sure that I'm every note is as precise as it can be, but while also making it sound fun and inspiring. So I try to work on all that in my practice routine so that as much as possible, every day I'm practicing, but then that way on stage, I can kind of let loose a little bit, ignore my technique, so to speak, because it's kind of already there and ingrained. And then that way it's like I'm, doing my inner channeling of Keith Moon, which is not anywhere near to that legend, but that way it has this appearance that I'm just really going for it and having a good time, but while still having that foundation and technique. So I think that balance is probably some of the most complicated thing, because there's amazing drummers that for me aren't quite as inspiring. Like Dave Grohl is that perfect balance for me, where it's like really raucous and like it's like who gives a fuck, and he's just playing, but then he also like he's got his own technique, but it's not necessarily all like a jazz guy would play, but it's like there's a foundation there. The snare drum sounds great every time, the kick drum, the consistency, it's all there. So that was a long-winded, maybe non-answer,
no,
but that's what I got.
no, it's a good answer. I think. I mean, knowing other people like my friend Jake Hayden. I don't know if you know Jake,
Yeah, I
but
love Jake.
also with Randy, it's just he takes it to a whole nother level. Dynamics between all the instruments. I mean, he is, man, just an amazing uh, drummer, teacher, inspiration. I've heard so many people say that, which you said exactly. Like I played this thing and he just, and I was just like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I've seen it before.
He's just such a professional, and actually it was so cool. I don't know if you know this, but he filled in for Jason on
Yeah, I
tour
did.
for Our Lady Peace,
Yeah,
and it was so cool to see him. And he's just such a pro. He just, I mean, I think he's kind of filled in before for them. They're close, but he just came in and just nailed it. And Jason is amazing. He's like not one of my new favorite drummers as well, but it was just so cool to see. And that's the kind of the level of professionalism I needed to be exposed to, having just moved to LA and was trying to figure out my way. Like just being around that and seeing that was huge. You know, I wouldn't be
that's
here
awesome.
without that. So yeah.
Yeah, it makes you think differently about the instrument, not just as like I'm an artist, I'm going to do my thing, but actually approach it in a more professional way.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got. Hey everybody, just a reminder, if you want to ask any questions, just hit that question mark down there so I can see them all. We got a bunch. Nikki wants to know, who would be in your ultimate band? Drummer, singer, rhythm, bass, lead. Like basically, if you had to piece together.
Wow. That's cool.
Dave Grohl, I'm going to say Dave Grohl, but as a drummer or as a lead guy playing guitar?
Ooh, I don't know. That's that's a tough one. I mean, probably Sting on bass.
Well, let's put you on drums. So we got you on drums. We got Sting on bass.
That's crazy. I'm not good at that. Singers and guitarists. I'm so typical. I focus on drums and bass. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Sting, maybe like Steve Lukather or something would be rad. I'm making it. It's kind of like a very.
It's like a super.
It's yeah.
But let me take it. So Steve Lukather. But let me change it a bit for you.
Okay.
Same question, but who would rock your fucking face off? Meaning, Steve Lukather is a dream, amazing musician, but does he make you feel the way Grohl makes you feel about drums on guitar?
Well, it's a different genre, but I feel like he shreds. You know, that's funny. Like, there's so many great rock guitarists, but then the other person that came to mind was John Mayer, who I'm also a fan of.
Yeah.
You know, and just on guitar. You know, I'm kind of but that's like what I'm doing. Like I asked on Instagram the other day, like what song should I be playing along to? And it was so funny because I got so many answers. I don't even have a double pedal anymore. So like half the songs I'd have to go buy a piece of gear to work on them, which I should. Again, I haven't had one for quite some time, but like my playlist is like goes from Smashing Pumpkins and Nirvana to Toto. You know, we're also working on Rosanna to like 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover by Paul Simon to you know.
That's a favorite of Randy's. I think he has all of you guys play 50
We all
Ways
have to play it for sure.
Yeah.
Because Steve Gadd is a legend, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe James Iha would be something.
Who is that?
I don't know. From Pumpkins.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm
on a kick right now. If you follow my Instagram, I'm just like obsessed with the Smashing Pumpkins.
I actually haven't seen that part of it, but I'm gonna say the answer is you on drums, Sting on bass. You got Lukather on guitar. Mm-hmm. Now Mellow Art says, "Don't forget Sean," but that's okay.
No, you're there.
I'm certainly on the side of the stage watching, and I would say put Mayer as singer and guitar. I think you've got an amazing band.
Yeah.
So Nikki says, interesting, no Robert Plant or Jimmy Page. I mean, so are you a huge, great. I mean, look, it's an insane amount of options out there. We're going to respect his decisions.
No, that's a great call. I'm not, on the spot. Yeah, now mention some names and then I'll reformulate and I'll post it tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So Bush fans forever just joined. What's up?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Lady Jugs O'Plenty also wants to know. She says she's a Bush fan. Don't forget Taylor Hawkins.
Oh yeah.
Are you still working with BlueBiird, Emily Osment? Now, I feel like I worked with Emily Osment at a certain point. I think you brought me in. Does that sound?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you feel yeah, we needed a guitarist. Yeah, I think you filled in for a show. So I played for her solo project under her name for a bunch of years. And yeah, I still work with BlueBiird. So BlueBiird is her new artist project. It's very much kind of different than the kind of pop leaning stuff that she was doing when she was still on the Hannah Montana show. So now her stuff is very more kind of folk. It's kind of a hybrid of kind of some jazz influences and then some electronic influences. But I actually manage her artist project now. She's
Oh,
super talented, and I highly recommend checking out. It's BlueBiird with two eyes. Um, but I also play drums on it. But she's like a little sister to me, and that kind of came to fruition with her. She's obviously acting all the time. She's in a lot of different things, and she was sending me voice memos, and I was like, "These are just so good, Emily. You have to do something with it." So she kind of gradually started doing that. She had a bunch of songs, and we just kind of put her in the studio with a couple different producers. Her first EP was produced, actually Corey produced a track, and then also Matt Mitchell from Pussifer produced the rest of the EP. And it's amazing, and we're kind of working, she's working on another EP right now. And yeah, so definitely still working with her, and new music coming kind of spring of next year. So
that's very cool.
yeah.
I actually wanted to mention Justin Derrico, and on that note, I wanted to know about Youngblood Hawke and stuff they just released, but or in 2020. But I wanted to mention before I forgot. You mentioned Randy Cook, the drummer, as just being inspiring. You're just like, wow, I never dug that deep. I had one, uh, not session, but class, if you will, or lesson with Justin Derrico, Pink's guitarist, amongst other things, which you probably know personally through Corey, and that guy is, oh, Jesus Christ, just makes me want to cry. He's so good.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just wanted to mention that. But
No, so funny enough, just to kind of give for people that don't know me, but so Corey and Justin are from Virginia, and I am as well. And so what happened was, is my band in
wait, I
college,
thought you were from Washington, D.C.
yeah, but I'm from like Alexandria, just outside of the city.
Okay, gotcha.
And then Corey and Justin were from a little bit further out, maybe like an hour, hour and a half outside of the city, in Virginia. And our bands were kind of totally different. So we didn't necessarily play shows together, but my band rehearsed at their college because some of my band went to that school. So,
Okay.
so I've known Corey and Justin since college, and to be honest, like they moved out to LA, and my band was still touring around playing little clubs. And when my band broke up, they were playing with The Calling. So Justin and Corey were literally the reason why I moved to LA. It's like, oh, they're doing it out there, they're playing, like I'm gonna go out there and do that. And so yeah, they're both amazing players, inspiring, and just great dudes. Youngblood actually opened for Pink in Australia for a little
Oh,
while, and it was so fun to just get to hang with Justin because we hadn't really like hung and had beers after shows and stuff since Virginia days. So
wow.
it was cool. But yeah, he's a monster. He's a great guitarist as well.
It makes me want to cry when I watch him.
Yeah.
So you were saying Emily Osment
Hmm.
and helping her and kind of managing that artist project, BlueBiird, right?
Hmm.
With two eyes.
Yes.
I was actually wondering, Youngblood Hawke came out with with a song I don't remember, or an album or an EP in 2020. Are you still a part of that project? Are you still working with them?
Yeah. So we are still a band. It's five of us. It's like
Mhm.
a full on band, and we're we're probably not going to play a whole lot of shows. When we were on Republic, and we had been touring for kind of 3 to 4 years, actually, pretty straight, and had a single that did okay and all that kind of stuff. And then we ended up getting dropped from Republic, and had a ton of new music. And we're all still close. So we've written some new songs, and we've been kind of finishing up some songs that came, because we had like 60 songs that were like recorded. Almost all of it was mixed. And so we've been kind of like releasing music off and on. And then, on October 9th this past year, or this year, I guess I should say, we released a full-length record. And then we have some more stuff coming out. Our friends in the band, the Congos, did a remix that's going to come out in January. And for one of those songs on the record. And there's a bunch of new music. We're kind of like, it's a little bit like Postal Service, because a couple of the guys are doing A&R and working at labels and stuff like that. And then, I've been touring around as well. So we usually get together once a month or once every other month and finish some music, and then kind of do the rest remotely. But it's they're great dudes, and I love the music. It was such a great experience for me to kind of be in that band and to still be. But yeah.
Dude, I love to hear always how not just great musicians, but great people, great dudes like yourself, like you say they are. It's so wonderful when there's some success there. Doesn't have to be the biggest thing in the world, but just being able to be successful and experience some music stuff, it's wonderful to hear, man. I'm so happy about that. Let's see here. I actually had artist development. I wanted to know more about that, but you kind of told us about that with Emily Osment. Let's see. We've got how long, Enrique Iglesias, Switzerland, how long did it take you to master the mix of hands and feet on the drums? It's a good question.
I don't know that I have. It's a continuous journey and process.
It's a good answer.
But yeah, you're always kind of working on it, and you can't ignore one without the other. There was a long period of time where I thought my hands were cool, and so I was so focused on my feet. And then like I started playing a gig where, all of a sudden I felt like my chops were down a little bit on my hands. So it's a balance, you're as strong as your weakest link in a team, and your limbs are acting as a team in this sense. So everything has to be worked on. And that's what's actually really cool about drumming, and is that you can kind of be working on multiple things all at the same time. So,
I feel like the drummers that I know that are amazing, like yourself, another friend of mine, Aviv Cohen, is amazing, and Jake and Randy. I feel like once you get to a certain level, you just try to screw everything up. Like, how can I fuck with this to make it super cool? How can I take, and I always wanted to do that. I never actually really did, but I always wanted to do that in a different way, where once I learned all the solos, I would go, the guitar solos, I wanted to go to a violin solo, a sax solo, and learn how they approach the solo, because it's just a different instrument and you approach playing it differently, usually, just because certain things are easier on sax, but they may be super hard on guitar or piano. Anyway, so try to complicate things. That's how I feel like.
Of course, sometimes you have to take step
Emily
back.
Emily Osment joined. Emily, we were just talking about you.
What's up, yo? But yeah, I mean, we were always doing that stuff. I mean, in college, my teachers changed my fulcrum, where I hold the sticks, from this knuckle to this knuckle, and it unlocked some stuff and made me super uncomfortable for a year. And then, I like to bury the beater, for any of the drum heads out there, but I like to bury the beater into the bass drum. I just prefer playing that way. But there's so many times you're on kits where it doesn't sound that good. So I literally spent a whole year like really being able to play all the rhythms that I wanted to work on, but not burying the beater. And it was super frustrating. I felt like off balance doing it and all that. But these are just part of the journey that, you have to, we're studying all those things in our practice room, so that on that 1% or even less than that chance that you get asked to do that on a session or whatever, you're ready for it. And that's, the more you can be prepared for those moments, the better you'll be in those moments. So
that's awesome, and very true. I think the thing that we learned the most in this whole Instagram live is that Lady Jugs O'Plenty is also called Emily. Who knew?
I did not know that. It's actually better that way. I can call you Emily.
There we go. Because Jugs is cool, but it seems a little problematic.
It's a good Instagram handle for her. Kind of weird to say out loud over and over again if you're answering questions, but
absolutely. And Mello, here's Bran, I think, in the background, my dog. Do you guys have dogs or cats there where you are right now?
Yeah, my in-laws have a dog. Yeah, he's great. My son is a terror to him. He kind of runs whenever my son is around, but yeah.
Oh, actually, side note, well, okay, so I just wanted, some people know Bran, my dog. Uh, a YouTube video just came out today. Sanjay C did a YouTube with me about my studio and about touring, all kinds of stuff. It's really cool. Just go to my link in bio, and it's right there. And at the end of the video, our dogs meet, and they're both Yorkies. Anyway, it's a cute moment. You'll enjoy it if you know Bran.
You got to
Let's
have a
see.
good studio dog, so that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And a good touring dog. I know when you're touring, it's huge for the production. They love having touring dogs.
Yeah, it just lightens the mood and it just keeps perspective. You know, you can get so in your own head with it. But yeah, with Youngblood, we had Pablo, and then with Bush, Gavin has Chewy, who's like this amazing little rock star in himself. So yeah.
Wow, I've never toured with a band that brings a dog. It's usually a dog that comes to visit and is on for a few of the shows, but that's really cool.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We got more questions. Are there, well, no. This one is an interesting one. If you could stream only one song during lockdown, which would it be? Which one would it be?
Whew.
Let's say that lockdown is only 6 weeks.
Yeah. Right now it would be Tristessa from Smashing Pumpkins, which is on the Gish album, but or maybe Quiet from them. I'm just on this huge Jimmy Chamberlain kick, so that would probably be it. Be one of those two for sure.
Nice. I will actually answer that as well. There's a band, I'm looking it up right now, Deep Sea Creatures. They're no longer around, but it's one of those bands. If you look up on Spotify, Deep Sea Creatures, amazing music. I can't even tell you what genre it is. It's just so special. It's one of those bands, and they have a song called Sister Mountain and Human Being, and I've been listening to them straight for the last few days. They're two Israeli guys that came to LA, did this project, and then they kind of split up. Daniel's still here, the other guy's back in Israel, but just an amazing project. Let's see what else we got. Let's see what else we got. Bush. Emily, no more questions, huh? Let's see. Okay. No questions there. I've got questions that we had people ask a few days ago. The most inspiring, well, I guess this was a question, but I didn't really understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So take it and go with it however you want. The most inspiring story you learned, but you can flip that into whatever you want, because I didn't really understand completely what the question was exactly. Bye, Emily.
Have you practiced quarantine? Sorry, I'm trying to read along. Inspiring. That's a good. I don't know. I mean, I think it's just little moments of inspiration. Like, for instance, like the idea that I got to audition to one of like my favorite bands last May was inspired. It like re-inspired myself. But then also just being around Gavin, and you know, he's had a great amount of success, and he's been doing this for so long. But he's so engaged every single night. He's like, you know, flying around, not flying like in trapeze thing, but he's just like running around the venues. He's going everywhere. His attention to like making sure the fans leave that show being blown away, or like having this that moment with him in the audience is super inspiring. Being around Chris and Corey, and just like when people ask me about that gig, I say it's like driving a Ferrari back there. It's like literally just like this rhythm section that's just so insane, with Chris and Corey, and then Gavin as well. And just so, yeah, I don't know, shy of like finding this one super profound, inspiring moment. I think it's just continual, you know, working with Emily when she was, you know, younger, and just like she would sign autograph. She would be in these autograph sessions for like 3.5 hours, and then we'd be done, and we would just be like, you know, going to the bar, having a beer, and then we'd see her back on the bus or whatever. I think it's easy to think that some of these artists are celebrities, or they're just like showing up and doing their thing or whatever. But I think in my experience, you know, almost all of them are some of the most hardworking people you've ever been around. And I think that that's a key to success. And I think it's, you know, it's not always easily seen, but I think it's just when you're around that, it's just like the New England Patriots were so good for so long because they had such a culture of it. And I think that that totally happens in the music business, and it's why certain acts and artists are so successful. So
It's true, man. It's a lot of work, and props to you for giving them props. Got a few more questions, and we've got 10 minutes to go. So I want to make sure we get to all of them. Emily Osment, actually, Jugzo Plenty had to leave, but Emily Osment wanted to know if you practiced piano during the quarantine.
Not really. My daughter kind of handles a lot of the piano stuff. And since we've been here, I don't have my full piano. I have just a little MIDI controller. So I've been slacking on it. I've been trying to focus on drums. But I tell you, you know, there's a lot of, I don't want to it's just a really strenuous year, and a lot of people are going through some really hard times, and we need to stick together and be there for everybody. But I do, in another inspiring thing, I'm inspired by how everybody's, despite what it may seem, I know a lot of people are coming together, and a lot of great things I think are going to come out of this bad situation in terms of music that's going to be released next year, in terms of way that certain artists are doing live streams and connecting with audience members. And I mean, for me, it's being home with family's been fun. And it's also been the most I've practiced in years, because I'm getting in 2 or 3 hours every day. I'm also having dinner with my kids every single night, which has been really a blessing. And so, you know, I can't wait to go back out on tour for sure, where like everybody in the band is chomping at the bit, but you know, you're kind of making do with what you have and making the best out of it. So, but no piano, not enough piano, I should say.
Emily's busting balls today, but also about the Patriots. But
I don't like the Patriots. I don't like the Patriots.
Oh, not the Patriots. She was talking about, who did you mention before? Yeah, she said, why you got to bring the Patriots into this?
Oh my gosh, she's trashing my piano playing, Emily. Gosh.
I think she's just trying to make you feel bad, so you can actually you feel obligated to go practice. Let's see, we've got a few more questions. Mellow Art, my friend, wants to know, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of, I think people think that there's like this grand plan all the time, but I'm just, honestly, my whole goal with music is that when I moved to LA, it was like, I don't want to like, I don't have like a bucket list of this club or that club or this artist or that artist and stuff. It's just, I want to make what I love more than anything. And now that I have kids, it's like this whole level of responsibility, but I just want to make my living and like provide for my family, but it's very important to me that it's music. It's just, I'm determined to make that my thing. It's like the idea that art and music specifically can help give our family, this life. It's just been something that I've always dreamed of, and just kind of making it my profession because it's what I love to do. And so if I can't make this work, then it would be this hobby that I would be obsessed with, but then, you know, I don't know. So that's kind of my,
so you don't have like goals to play specifically here, specifically there, but just basically providing for the family, continuing doing what you've successfully done for so long. I think that's a great plan.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to still be touring with Bush and in the summer, and then I'd come off the summer and I'm like coaching my daughter's soccer team or something. I don't know. And then I have my own weird solo drum album that I've never even thought about making, but you know, maybe that's something. I don't know. Who knows?
Dude,
man?
I miss touring so much. Yeah. It's bad, man. I just miss it so much. By the way, Emily wanted both of us to know, because I didn't know what that word means. She says dank is a good word. Do you know what that
Oh,
I
dank.
guess that's just pointing out my age. Let's see. Dank
Dank used to mean
means
something else, but
disagreeably damp, musty, and typically cold. Listen, I don't think I'm reading the same dank that you.
she's
What
cool.
does
Emily's
dank?
cool. She's hip.
What does dank slang mean? Excellent. There you go. It's dank.
Sick.
It's good
I
to
wouldn't
know.
call
It's lit, bro.
I wouldn't call myself an excellent piano player either, but I'll take it. I like
Sure,
to
why
jam.
not? Compliments. Let's
Yeah.
see. We've got more questions. Um, Sean wants to play with Foos. Does Nick have an ultimate goal band he wants to play with? It's like what Mello asked, but I am wondering, is there a band other than that all-star band that you put together? Is there a band like with me with the Foos that you would just like just kill to play with?
I mean, if like kind of like the dead or alive sort of thing, it would be like play with Bob Marley or Zeppelin. Would be two things. One of those two acts.
Zeppelin
You know,
is Zeppelin is big shoes, man. I
I
don't
know.
think I've ever seen you play like Bonham. That would be amazing to see.
Yeah.
You could pull it
I
off for sure.
yeah. No, I mean yeah. Go big or go home, right? I'm playing in a band with big shoes to fill. So, I mean, we're always stepping in after legends when at this point, I mean, playing a song at a jam on a jam night after Randy or whatever, it's just like, let's just go for it. And you can still just be you and try to be the best you can be. You don't have to be, you know, whatever, some chop virtuoso. That's definitely not my thing. But
Well, yeah, no, I'm sure you can chop them up like all of them, but for me, you're just such an incredible laying down the drums, doing exactly what they need to sound like, and just doing an amazing job performing and meaning it. Like you have an energy about you when you play. Like Randy has the suave. When Randy's playing, it's just like it's just, and
yeah.
you're just like. I was
Yeah.
watching which you posted a song that you did Bush rehearsals. You were just Blood something,
Blood River. Yeah.
Blood
Mhm.
River, yes. And you posted it on your story. I mean, it was great. Sounded amazing. Oh God, I miss playing
Yes.
with other people.
We did some drive-in shows that was cool. I mean, I don't think it was a little weird because it's not a full PA and it's like car stereos, but it did it,
Wait, wait, wait. What? How does that work? I thought it was well. Wait, before I ask that again, I've seen one of these and it was a full PA.
yeah. So
But
they had a PA, but it's not. I don't know. Sound guys would know better than me, but it was just like so there was a PA for the kind of the front, but it was cars were all the way around, and the main way that people would listen would be also they could tune into their car
wow, I
stereos.
wonder if there's like a delay thing. There's got to be. I mean,
I
if
don't.
you're hearing PA from the outside and you're hearing a signal that's coming through the radio. Anyway, we've got a few
Yeah.
more questions, and I also wanted to give you a chance to plug yourself. So let's go. Let's get this real quick. See if we have time. Um, we'll do this one as the last one. Bush song, Youngblood Hawke, Emily Osment. What is your favorite song to drum to?
Uh, well, I'll stick on this current gig with Bush. Everything Zen is like just fuck you. It's just so fun. Like the hits in the chorus are just so rad. And like yeah, I just like lyrically I love that song and it just gets me pumped up. I just like that the new songs and the songs that I got to play in a couple songs on the new record which are just super awesome that they had me in and that they ended both of those songs went to radio, which is amazing. And
Yeah.
but that song that is just everything Zen was just like so funny story because I was coming off of the
We only have
like
like 30 seconds or a minute. I want to make sure you have time to plug yourself a little.
no, that's okay. So anyways, after the audition, I went so hard that I literally was driving home and I thought I was going to throw up because I was playing Everything Zen like so hard, and I hadn't hit that hard in a while. My last gig was electronic. So it was just like, I literally was like driving home like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to throw up.
Wow.
And then they were like, hey, can you come back tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, but maybe I need to go running or like, stretch and get into my cardio. Yeah. But.
Well, dude, please, thanks for everyone for joining us. I'd love for you to just give an idea to people if they want to reach you for artist development or if they want to talk to you about drums or whatever. Just tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram here, Nik Hughes Drum. I have a website, nikhughesdrum.com. And yeah, just shoot me a message. I try to respond as much as I can. And yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks, Sean, for having me. You are a legend. I can't wait till we can hang in person soon, make some music on top of that. But yeah, so thank you guys for hanging out, and yeah, I'll see you guys all at a show, hopefully in 2021.
Oh, Bush and Smash Mouth out together. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you so much, Nik. Legend yourself. Thanks so much for coming and joining us and answering everyone's questions. I'm sure they enjoyed. And you guys will be able to see this here, or I'll probably post it on YouTube at a certain point, so it'll be there forever. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the weekend, and catch you later.